now listening to the Thanks for Trying podcast, episode 8, hosted by myself, The Last Skeptik. Today's episode features Heems, formerly of Das Racist and now of Swetshop Boys, and my brother Tiernan Douieb. As always, this podcast is super fucking sweary, but today's episode was not recorded at night and there is no booze. Whoa. Shout out to Seb White for recording the show, and big up yourselves for listening. Enjoy. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 8 of the Thanks for Trying podcast, hosted by myself, The Last Skeptik, with super very special guests today. We have Heems and my actual real life brother, Tiernan Douieb. All right. What I wanted to say is, obviously, we were just chatting, testing the mics a minute ago, and something very interesting came up, Heems. Good old friend of mine, old pal, Heems.
Old pal. Something
new that I didn't know about you. You said, we were just chatting, and you said, my brand. Why don't you explain it?
My brand is basically eggs anytime, like a bad restaurant.
Does this mean your Twitter avatar is like a difficult thing? Because if you just have an egg...
Yeah. I should go to the egghead Twitter thing at this point. I think
you should just change your icon to an egghead.
After you get like a lot of followers, you should do the egghead more instead of like, you know, the egg always being like a person with like 3 followers that just yells at you about Donald Trump on the internet.
Yeah.
Like after you get like enough followers, you should go back to the egg. Try to make the egg cool now.
Hashtag reclaim the egg.
Reclaim the egg.
Reclaim the egg, man. I'm up for that.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back home, I guess.
Yeah, thanks for letting me live in here on your couch again. This is like about
it's pretty much everything happens in this room. So yeah, well, welcome back to.
Sleep in this room and rap in the other one. It's kind of my.
It's like an instant rap.
And I make eggs in the kitchen. So those are the 3 spaces I occupy on this floor.
It all happens. And you're here this time with Sweatshop Boys.
Yeah.
So I think just maybe, you know, we won't crazy promo. I ain't gonna fucking drill you like, you know, interview and stuff. But why don't you just break it down real quick what Sweatshop Boys is?
It's an Asian thing, yeah. So my mate, he's from Wembley, and we did a rap group because he's British and Pakistani and kind of comes from a similar like working class background, but is in the arts, and that's Riz Ahmed. And then myself being, you know, Indian and in New York, we kind of had these parallel experiences of diaspora and kind of always looked across the pond at culture and at diaspora culture. So we made a rap group, and our album came out about 2 weeks ago. It's called Kashmir. It's on our own imprint, Customs. And been shooting a video out here. So that's been cool.
Yeah, because you shot first part of the video last night, right?
Yeah, it's just mad young, like Asian youths and like sports cars.
Sick.
And like drones. So let's see.
Sick. That's very cool.
Yeah.
The album is amazing. Like
It's really good. I before we recorded, I was telling Heems how one of my favourite tracks is Half Mogul, Half Mowgli, and he goes, "That's the track I'm not on." I was like, "Oh yeah, sorry about that."
I should be the type of guy that just like lets it go, but I'm like, yeah, the one track I'm not on.
Yeah,
awesome, great.
Sorry, man.
Thank you, appreciate it.
It's great. My presence is still felt no matter what. I'm omnipotent.
It's like you were there. I sort of imagined you were in, like, at least just, you know, nodding along, or just like, you know, you were there somewhere.
I was there in spirit for sure.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. So, Tina, tell me about what's going on with you, because I haven't even spoken to you in at least, like, you know, a week.
Yeah, a whole week.
A whole week.
What's happened in a week? I had a cold. Oh shit.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
it's kind of going around.
They do Lemsip, honey, and ginger now, so
you don't have to do it yourself.
Exactly.
You don't have to like cut up the honey and squeeze the ginger.
Exactly, man. They've even made bee mucus synthetic, so I'm bang up for that.
Sick.
Yeah, that's what's happened since I last spoke to you. No, I don't know. I'm writing a new show, and
it's not for Edinburgh.
Yeah, I think so. I've got some tour dates for next year. I'm trying to hopefully might do New Zealand Comedy Festival next year, and then Edinburgh. So yeah, all that kind of shiz.
New Zealand.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Get to finally fucking visit Hobbiton.
That was my plan, and then try and mingle in. And if they do another film, I'm there.
Shit.
It's my secret plan. It's Hobbit, Ewoks. There's still a chance. Hobbits, I think I've missed my chance. But if I can try my best.
You have to get Tolkien to write another book, though.
That's it. Or just tell Peter Jackson to find like a 2-page thing that Tolkien wrote, and he'll make it into a 7-hour film over 12 parts or something.
Because how shit was Hobbit, man?
It made me so angry. But The Hobbit is such a tiny little book.
I know.
And then he's like 3 2.5-hour films. Like, man, that is a lot of filler.
That is one thing I think. Like, if a genie gave me 3 wishes, like.
This is a huge waste of a wish. Whatever you're about to say.
No, I think it's very valid. I think it's a really important wish.
You're gonna waste a wish on some like white nerd shit.
Yeah, exactly. One of the wishes would be that they didn't make the Hobbit 3-part film.
Yeah,
man. You see, you've wasted this. Like, you know, I would have gone for like Spider-Man 3 not happening, or or something a bit more worthwhile.
Okay, that's my second wish.
Yeah, second wish. And at the end, people are like, "Why didn't you wish for world peace?" You're like, "Mate, look, the Hobbit's better now."
Because there was a Punisher film that happened that needs to be unwished.
Oh, don't be mean to Dolph Lundgren.
Yeah, sorry, that is some nerdy shit.
Dolph Lundgren was in the Punisher.
Yeah.
Was he no, he wasn't the Punisher.
Yeah, he was. He's in one of the. Oh, maybe there's more than one Punisher film.
Thomas Jane was the Punisher.
Oh, I think there's an earlier Punisher film that's Dolph Lundgren. He's definitely a Punisher somewhere.
There you go.
Maybe just in his mind.
you watch Marvel.
I'd use a wish on having watched The Lord of the Rings or read it or any of the Marvel shit, so I would have understood what was going on the last like.
Wait, you've never read Lord of? You're a well-read guy. You read
not film. Film is where I know nothing. I haven't seen any of The Lord of the Rings or Star Wars or The Godfather.
Wow. So are you gonna have to? Because Riz is in the new Star Wars. Are you gonna have to see that one or? Because you won't get any of it.
I haven't seen Four Lions yet. I guess I gotta watch that too.
Yeah.
No, I don't actually. I only watch like bad Indian movies and romantic comedies.
Yeah.
Wow.
American romantic comedies and bad Indian movies that I find to be good.
What's your favorite rom-com?
I mean, I'm very fond of Hitch. I'm on the record as a fan of Hitch.
Which is good.
You know.
Which is real.
Is that the one that's a superhero one?
Will Smith. No,
that's
Hancock.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, it's the other one with an H. That's just one word.
Yeah. That's also Will Smith.
I thought you were about to say the superhero one was Blade, because I often have in my brain somehow put Blade and Hitch together. So they're like two sides of the same coin.
Yeah.
Except in one he kills vampires, and in the other he's a love consultant.
That sounds like it could be a film to me, then.
Yeah.
I think you should pitch that.
Just put them together, but...
He can only go out at night. She's only around at day.
Yeah.
That's something, but they have to meet at twilight. Twilight, fuck.
Yeah.
Damn.
Third film.
Yeah.
That's a really good film. Well, I mean, I fucking love rom-coms, but like...
There's not enough vampire murdering in them, so when you bring in the Blade...
There's not enough vampire murdering within. Yeah, no, I agree. Like really horrific, blood from the fucking ceiling, like all of that shit, like they did in Blade. You know? Like I thought Blade Trinity was sick, actually.
I think he was too old by the third one, and he was like very slowly kicking vampires.
I just didn't care about the other characters. Like they always do this thing of like it's a superhero film, and you go great, and then they go here's all these other guys that help, and you go I don't want. It's like in fact it's like when certain rap tracks when they've got guest star, and you're like, what about the one person whose album it is? Why are they only saying 3 things?
Well, there's a lot of posse cuts that even though there's, I mean, it's not like Scenario where you would wait until the end for Busta Rhymes. But it's like, there's certain ones, even like Monster, everyone takes the piss out of Jay-Z's verse on Monster, right? Because he just lists monsters. But like,
Actually, that's, now that when I know that's what it is and I think about it a lot, but when you're like, when you're just hearing it like that, you're like, whoa, maybe that is kind of cool and not just funny. Like, maybe that's good. He just lists monsters. I bet though it's the way he sounds while he's listing the monsters. It's not just the idea of listing monsters is fine. Listing is great in rap.
Yeah,
but it's him going ghoul kind of type. There's like a feeling to it that's like ghoul goblin. It's like he doesn't say it like a normal dude.
Was it like a Halloween release? Was it like a special?
No.
He just Jay-Z likes monsters, man. I mean, that's pretty much it.
But who doesn't? They're great. They've got universities and shit.
That's true. Yeah, good point.
Brilliant.
Incorporated companies.
Absolutely, exactly. Monsters, they're doing pretty well in today's capitalist society.
Ball, that's another film.
Yeah, they've got a ball.
They've got a ball.
Absolutely. Pretty well. I feel like I just want to say that in scenario you do wait for Busta Rhymes, but also who's that? Brown. That's one of my favourite bits.
Charlie
and
Black.
chickeny
What's his name? Not Charlie
chicken.
Black.
Yeah, but that's Busta Rhymes.
No,
it's not. No,
it's Charlie.
That's Charlie. Yeah,
What's his name?
Charlie Brown.
Charlie Brown.
Charlie
Yeah.
Who's that Brown?
Who's that? Brown.
I thought it was Charlie Black because that's like a reggae dude, but I was like, that's not right.
No, there you go.
Yeah, we sampled him saying that.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Well, that's excellent.
Yeah, good
So you wait for verses like that, but then there's certain verses you just, because the posse cuts are too long, like Money, Power, Respect, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I want to listen to for DMX, but he's all the way at the end.
Yeah.
There's always one guy who's not good, but it's like endearing that the rapper threw his bad rapping friend on the track.
Yeah.
That's like my dude who does the best verse on the posse cuts.
But you can do it's like in comedy gigs where the less good person is on in the middle because they're buffered by good acts, and it's the same in the kind of the posse cut where they're like, I just put him on in the middle, it'll be all right. Yeah. Everyone will just let it go. That's when they can have a cup of tea or whatever.
Yeah. No, I feel that. Well, you've done a lot of you've done not posse cuts as such, but you've done loads of fucking records with people that people forget that you've collabed with.
Yeah, I guess rap is mad collaborative though, right? More than other genres in a sense, right?
Because I remember when you stayed here last year and we were just chatting and we were just like playing through some stuff, and then you were like, oh yeah, that's my song with Childish Gambino.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, yeah, there's a video too. I was like, oh, all right. So you've done a song with fucking Donald Glover. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Made 2 songs together. One was over email and one was in person. And it was cool. His brother was there too, who's been like, who writes on his show, Atlanta.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
And it was just cool. It was just quite, I like this, hanging out with 2 brothers. And, it was dope.
Factual.
Yeah, bringing it back.
Nice.
Yeah.
Full circle.
Yeah, he's just fucking hilarious. Like, did you ever watch Community?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just love that shit, man.
He's going to be in the next Star Wars. He's going to be young Lando Calrissian.
I heard that.
It's a great choice.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to doubly watch Star Wars now.
Yeah, that's two people that actually it's cool. They both
3?
are.
Oh no, we can't say that.
But they're both rappers and actors who are pretty smart and creative and use their platform.
So tell me what's going on with Comedy Club for Kids, or at least explain it first for people that don't know. So obviously, this is for the idiots who don't know. You're a fucking amazing and very successful stand-up comedian who not only does like incredible political stuff, it's alongside with your podcast, which I want to talk about in a bit. But then you also do Comedy Club for Kids.
I think that's the nicest thing you've ever said to me. It'll be different at Christmas.
You're the shittest out of
That's my fucking roast potato. So Comedy Club for Kids is a stand-up comedy gig, but for kids 6+ and their families. So all the stand-up is suitable for them. But I'd still say at times it's quite on edge of what you can do for kids, like within safe parameters. But we've got certain acts that do it who push it as far as they can, and that's why people like coming to it, because parents come and they're not just bored of bringing their kid to some sort of like Plinky Plink and the Red Sock adventure or whatever. They get to come.
Amazing.
That sounds amazing. I've just made that up. I'm going to jot it down after
great.
this.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so that's amazing. We did like 185 shows around the UK last year, and earned profit in Edinburgh this year. No, God, no, I didn't do all of them. We did South Bank Centre on Sunday first time, and not in the main Royal Festival Hall one day. But yeah, it's just growing and growing and growing. We've got some amazing acts that are doing it. So it's working out what to do. We've got this big Comedy Club for Kids Christmas Cracker. That is a special Christmas show we're doing all December. Myself, Howard Reed and Beck Hill.
Oh, I'm coming to that.
I'll tell you now, one of the main jokes is, what's your favourite Christmas carol? Well, it was 1986 and my name isn't Carol. We do that. That's happening about 6 times. That's happening about 6 times in the show.
That's great.
So, yeah. There's going to be a bit where we hand out Christmas crackers to everyone, but they're Jacob's crackers. Yeah, it's that sort of bullshit because children like it.
Hey,
we like it. It's
I
funny.
like it. That's fucking brilliant.
There is Howard Reed at the moment, who's Howard Reed's amazing. If you don't know him, he's like a stand-up who he used to perform with an animated boy called Little Howard that he did live, and he controls it like using a clicker, but he's got an Xbox controller so he can make Little Howard perform by himself. It's incredible. But at the moment in his kids set, he does a thing called Fart Psychic, where he tells all the children he can predict their futures and read their thoughts by pulling their finger. And he goes around the audience, pulls their finger, presses his clicker, and it plays a fart sound, and then he reads their fart. And I swear, I've seen it about 40 times now, and I still cry laughing. It's just because that's the thing. Kids have got kids don't care. They're like, well, they love really intelligent stuff, but they also just go farts, poo, hilarious, and then they laugh for days.
I think those things, farts, poo, hilarious.
They're still funny.
Those are
absolutely. But I think a lot of grown-ups kind of go, oh, that's very childish humor. And you're like, you want to laugh, you dick.
Over in America, we still rate farts, poop, and all that stuff, man.
You rate them?
Yeah.
All right, yeah, not official, not like a ratemypoo.com.
No, that's slang, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he's getting in with the slang.
Right, yeah. No, it's right. I just suddenly worried that for a minute that you were talking about a specific fart rating site.
I threw in different.
It was good.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, no, I enjoyed it.
Thanks.
Sorry, first I want to say, what are some of the guests that you have on Comedy Club? Because you said you had a lot of great, a lot of special guest comedians come down and enjoy it that might only previously do like adult kind of scenarios for their comedy.
And has anyone accidentally cursed ever?
Oh yeah. We've had some. Well, no, we haven't had too many over the years, but we've had a few bad ones. Yeah, really bad one. Actually, no, let me tell you the worst one for the sake of the podcast. Worst one ever was Joel Dommett, who's now doing quite well, and he's on his comedian. He's on TV quite a lot now. And this is the worst thing that anyone's ever said, right? Camp Festival, audience about 800 people in a tent. He decides, let's make what was that Transformer, like Constructicon or whatever, where it's all made of different parts. And he's like, let's get kids up, we'll make a giant Constructicon. So he gets a kid to grab each of his legs, one to grab his arms, one to jump on his back. And as they're doing that, into the mic, he goes, oh, it'd be awkward if I got an erection now. Thanks, Joel. 800 people. Luckily, no one complained because it was a festival. Joel has never been booked by us again. I love Joel. Never booked him again. Generally, though, most of the acts... once had Ian Sterling, who does it at CBBC, he swore on stage by accident. He said something like, that's fucking great. And he was so embarrassed that he called up his mum, and his mum told him off down the phone in front of the audience.
Amazing.
And the kids thought that was amazing.
Good comeback.
Adam Hills, though. Adam Hills, years ago, had a thing where he would get people's soft toys they brought with them, and he'd make them fight and create personalities for them. And this kid had a little toy gorilla in like a camo like jacket. Yeah. And he called him like Sergeant something. And he was like, and I don't take no bullshit. And then he suddenly paused and went, oh shit, I've said shit. Oh shit, I've said shit again. Oh shit, I've said shit. And he did that for about 4 minutes. And everyone was crying, laughing. We didn't, again, no complaints. It was so brilliant.
Good.
So, yeah, but I'd say like, this is now suddenly remembering that people listen to this. Like most, like really, those are rarities. Like, we've got one venue in the country that complains every single month, regardless of what happens. This month, one of the acts had tattoos. We don't think that's suitable. But other than that, it goes down pretty well, and all the acts are like, I mean, there's so many acts whose material is like I don't know if you've ever heard of Brendan Burns. He's an Aussie comic, shouty Aussie comic. So Brendan's like he's a really aggressive, like all his stuff is like, there's a man fucking a goat, and it's like really, but he does comedy done for kids, and he uses the same personality, but with like, I'm gonna hide under your bed and scare you, and they all go, yeah, it's hilarious. So like he uses it in a different way, and it's beautiful to watch, you know. When you get someone being that inventive,
and because you get kids coming up and doing comedy as well, right?
Oh yeah, and some of them are terrifyingly good. There's a girl called Grace who used to be Grace the child, but she's now 13, so she's Grace the former child. And she's done Edinburgh 2 years in a row, just like 4 or 5 days of 45-minute shows. Last year she got in Telegraph's top 10 jokes of the Fringe.
What?
Had a Guardian G2 piece about her. She's 13. She's dark as fuck. Like she's got a joke. This is a joke she wrote herself. It's all about like, I don't understand why Russia is so homophobic when the Trans-Siberia Express runs through it. Like, that's clever. How clever is that? She wrote that when she was 12.
Wow.
Brilliant. Yeah, so we got loads of kids at the moment that are doing really well. Yeah.
That's dope. I think kids say some of the funniest, like, most surreal things and just pair words together the way human adults don't.
Because they're basically
so I try to steal thoughts from kids, like steal kids' material all the time. I like hang out with my nieces just so I could steal jokes and rap from them. It's great because they'll be like, I want to make a castle made out of water at the beach, and then you use that in a poem.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Kids say the darndest things.
I
guess is essentially what I'm saying. Yeah.
It's the sort of unfiltered, isn't it? Like, the kid once shouted at me, like, today I bit a zombie. And you're like, wow, like, where's that come from? You know, just that weird looking at it from the... Yeah. But the interesting thing is with that is, like, the kids' gigs, if we have an act on who's really surreal, there's like a really, really good comedian who's doing work at the moment who's really surreal. He doesn't work for kids because they're just like, I thought of that already.
Yeah. Oh, really?
That's
weird. That's mad interesting. Yeah. All right.
They prefer it when there's an adult being a dick. Like, that's funnier to them than an adult being on there. It's really strange.
Oh, weird. So what, like, they just think, well, that's where my mind has gone, so you're not teaching me anything new right now.
Well, that's it. They're not surprised by it.
Yeah.
Because they're just like, so, I mean, I'll give you an example. The actor, Tony Law, who's brilliant. Like, I love Tony. He's amazing. But he used to have a whole routine about getting a bear to fight a shark and how you'd set it up and you'd paint the shark to look like a salmon and put it in a paddling pool and you convince the bear. It's really funny. But he was doing this to kids and the kids are just like, yep, yep. Whereas adults would be crying because it's like, this man's being ridiculous.
Yeah.
Kids are just like, yeah, of course you would. Why wouldn't you do that? Yeah. Why wouldn't you have a bear? And
Saw that coming.
Yeah, it's really strange.
Do you see a lot of stand-up in America?
I see stand-up.
Because you're friends with a lot of stand-up comedians. Even like when I DJ'd for you in Queens at Queen's Museum, and there was a few of your friends that are like quite well-known stand-up comedians.
You had
over
Hannibal
there
in one of your videos, didn't you? Hannibal Buress.
I had Hannibal and Eric in a video about skin lightening. Right? It was about skin lightening creams and like an exotic Indian guru selling skin lightening creams to Eric to make him lighter, and then like his girlfriend ends up with Hannibal, who's darker than Eric, and that was it. I think making music that kind of had humor in it, and the other thing is, I know another pair of friends who are a musician and an older brother that does comedy, and that's Hari Kundabolu and Ashok Kundabolu, who was in Das Racist.
Right.
So just through Ashok and Hari and just kind of UCB and making jokes and rap and having a part of the same kind of time where, comedians started, playing like music festivals, and a lot of comedians like Aziz were constantly like writing like that sketch he has about Pitchfork, and just so comedy and rap, I feel like, or music, indie music, independent music and comedy started kind of occupying a similar space or community, if you will, in the States in the last like 10 years. Yeah, I'd say more than ever.
Because I love that. Even over here where we've had, I went to see Ramesh Raghunathan, with his show with Michael Payne, and Ramesh uses one of Michael's songs to come out to at his show at the Apollo, and obviously Frankie Boyle uses one of Trim's songs to come out to at one of his shows as well. And I think I always like that when like those worlds interconnect somehow, because they are so intertwined.
You're still writing, and I mean, I don't know, it's about a certain way of looking at the world. And I think, I'd say I know a lot of musicians who are pretty funny, and I know, actually, like Reggie Watts is a good example of a musician who's also a comedian who kind of pulls both off. And
he's amazing, Reggie,
Yeah, or Joe Mandy even put his album out as a mixtape. I put it out on my label, but that's plug. But it was cool because it was, he had like sketches and like interludes that were from rap albums. So there is this hyper awareness, I think, of each world, as far as this like comedians and musicians in the States.
Yeah, and have you worked with Reggie Watts before?
I was in a film with him called Creative Control, where I played like an ad guy who was constantly hungover, and Reggie was like the cool influencer we gave these AR glasses to, and it's like a future ad hipster kind of dark comedy type of thing.
Sick.
Yeah,
that's dope.
Yeah.
So it's basically just all of the comedians that are now like fucking killing it in the States. Like at some point you've had them in a video or you've been in a film with them.
I wouldn't say that, but
all of them.
Yeah, all of them.
All of them. Yeah. And do you rate Aziz Ansari?
Yeah, I think he's great. I think he's doing really cool work. Yeah. And he's also like using his platform to talk about race and stuff. And I've always thought he was a funny dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
And are you?
He likes the movie Hitch as well. Just to I used to be upset at him because he would constantly tweet about Hitch, and I know that Joe Mandy had a joke about Hitch where he was talking about who the hell rides like jet skis in like the Hudson River or something like that.
That's a really good point.
And I was like a little angry because I was like, there can't be two dudes who are brown who make Hitch jokes constantly. Like that was the only time I felt like threatened by Aziz Ansari. Because early on there weren't a lot of brown dudes, so it was the idea like you go to a party and there's another brown dude and you got to be like, hey man, that's me tonight. I think you should go. You should go. And the party for me was just a room of people talking about Hitch.
What I wanted to ask you earlier, but what other rom-coms do you like? Because I'm a fucking rom-com guy, so I'm into this.
I don't mind like 10 Things I Hate About You, or the other one I confuse it with How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days.
Yeah.
They're not the same film.
No.
Right.
Oh wow, I don't know which one I've seen then.
10 Things I Hate About You has like Heath Ledger and Julia Stiles, and is a bit of a Shakespearean take on like young people in love in America,
Right.
if you will. And How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, of course.
It's Julia Stiles and Heath Ledger. Shakespearean take on it.
Exactly. It's the same exact movie, but with Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson. Yeah.
Oh wow! Because they've done a
They did Failure to Launch.
Isn't
as well.
Sarah Jessica Parker Failure to Launch?
No. Oh, was it? Maybe you're right.
Yeah, I think so.
You know, all white people look alike to me.
Well, it's not just to you; it's just factual information.
Yeah.
I always think that about Game of Thrones. Yeah, when like there's just a bunch of old white dudes like in armor, and then one of them dies, and then the next scene he's in it again as someone else.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah, it's how you save money on actors, isn't it?
yeah. Genuinely, there's 18 people in Game of Thrones that are exactly the same old white man.
That's what actually happened in medieval times as well.
Oh, really?
It was just the same 18 guys, just kept getting killed in different wars.
Exactly, coming back
And
with
then
a
they'd
slightly
swap hats and be like, hey, are you King Harold? No,
not
King Harold
me.
didn't have this moustache. And then it'd be like, it's why all the tapestries look the same, isn't it? They all look the same on tapestries, paintings, all that
And
shit.
that's the only reason why they cloned them, to make the tapestries easier.
Absolutely.
So yeah, to save money on paint. That is, you know what? That reminds me of my favorite bit that I believe is your favorite bit as well of Muppets in Manhattan.
Oh man.
Yeah. See, you know, you
already.
must have seen Muppets in Manhattan.
No.
Oh, come on, man! You need to watch that.
It's got romantic comedy. I mean, there's always the Kermit Piggy romance.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you might like
Right.
that.
Yeah.
It's very
Yeah.
romantic. But there's a great scene, Heems, that you would love in this film where
You're now going to spoil it for him.
well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, sure.
Where Kermit and Fozzie
Fozzie.
Bear are walking through Central Park, and
I think you need to preempt this by saying that in the film they're brothers.
They're brothers. They're brothers,
right? And one's a bear, one's a frog, but they're brothers. And occasionally they look at a picture of their dad, who's like a green bear
Yeah.
with frog eyes.
Okay.
And that's like a running joke throughout.
it's so good for a kids' film. So they're walking through Central Park, yeah, and Fozzie's wearing a hat. This is important. And this guy comes up, and I don't know how it comes about, but they're talking about how like, oh yeah, no, we're brothers, and they're like, no, you're not brothers. Like you look nothing alike. And then Kermit goes, oh wait a second, and he gets out a hat like Fozzie's, puts it on, and then the guy goes, oh, I see it now.
And then later there's a bit where Kermit's crying on a bench in a park, and a little girl walks past and goes, look, Mum, a bear. And the mum goes, no, honey, bears wear hats. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful.
That's really nice.
Yeah, brilliant.
Oh fuck! I like the new Muppets film as well, but I loved all of
I
it.
like all of them. The new series was great, and then it got
see that.
they said it was too negative. They had to change the showrunner because it was too
Too many guns.
yeah, too much guns. That's it.
Too many
Yeah.
guns.
Well, bear arms, I suppose. There's loads of bear arms. I'm sure it works, doesn't it?
Right to bear
Yeah, the right
arms.
to bear arms. Yeah,
Yeah, for real.
Right.
we need those in the Muppets.
Yeah.
And speaking of which, so tell me about the podcast.
Oh yeah, the one that I use your music on all the time and keep forgetting to credit you for. I realised that earlier today. I was like, I should just thank you at the end of every episode.
Oh, it's fine.
Yeah, so it's called the Partly Political Broadcast. It's doing all right. It's funny, and I don't know if you find this podcast. Do you podcast, Heems? Have you got a? Do I do a podcast? Do you podcast? Are you a podcaster with all your many? I know you do like hundreds of things, so I didn't know if you added that to your.
No, I haven't. This gets off to. It's a long story. I don't.
Oh man! All right. I feel like I've accidentally hit a nerve that I didn't mean to hit there.
No,
don't talk to me about podcasts.
No.
You know you're on a podcast now, right?
Yeah.
What?
I feel very strange.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. You've triggered me by reminding me I'm on a podcast. Podcasts are a very sensitive topic.
Is this like when they used to trick Mr. T how to get on planes? Is this what we've done to the podcast? Like,
yeah.
Actually,
this isn't a podcast.
Well, I was just asleep on the couch like I have been for like 3 days. And then I wake up and there's a podcast I'm talking.
Literally, that is how it happened this morning. I woke up at 12. We were supposed to start recording at 12. I walk in and go, I need a shower. And he's like, can I sleep for 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Brilliant. And at 12, I was outside your door.
Oh, yeah.
Why won't anyone let me in? Yeah, that's why.
Because we're rap guys.
Thanks everyone.
No, I don't have a podcast, but I enjoy them sometimes. But I also just like listen to the same like 2 albums every 3 months instead of like but once somebody described podcast to me as like well, because I was saying how like my impression of white people is kind of like, well, podcast and my friend was like, but yeah, yoga. And then my producer Radina was like, no, they're great, they're like awesome, like Lonely Man in the City tool. And I was like, oh, maybe I do like podcasts.
Yeah.
That's the long story. That's all.
Right.
So tell us about your podcast.
No, but I was going to say as well, the other thing is like this is unfiltered. You can put your own content out. Because Harry Condebo's got one with W. Cammy Bell, hasn't he? The new, what's it called? Politically Reactive, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
But yeah, so mine is just, it's partly political broadcast. It is me being satirical about the previous week's news, but also every week I'm trying to get someone that genuinely knows about stuff. So I've had some good guests. I've had someone from like Campaign Against the Arms Trade talking about how we sell all our weapons to Saudi Arabia to kill people in Yemen with, people. Somebody like who I thought this subject sounds really boring, but it's about they want to ban. This person wanted to ban driven grouse shooting, which to me means nothing. I've grown up in the city, but this simple, really elitist sport, it turns out is causing them to burn all this land, which means it's got no drainage, which means everywhere's getting flooded beneath it every winter, and at the same time it's killing all these wild birds, basically destroying our ecosystem. So I'm trying to get people on to be interesting about stuff, and in the meantime I tell terrible jokes, have crap jingles, but I mean what's really interesting is I've been doing it now since February, just as a kind of, we did some filmed ones a couple of years ago, my friend Ben Hilton, and that was a lot of time and effort to film something every single week. So we started doing as audio. But like the amount of gigs just this year was 3 weeks ago, I was in Liverpool and Manchester with Beck Hill doing some double-header shows. People turned up because of the podcast. Like a good amount of people turned up to the show in Barnsley because of the podcast. Did the QED Skeptics conference a couple weeks ago. People were there because of all people came up to me saying, we'll listen to the podcast. So it's working, which is really nice. Good. And it's all your beats that provide all the bits I talk over and the intro music.
Great.
Yeah.
That's what does it. It's not all of the great content at all.
It's absolutely.
It's all of the beats.
Absolutely.
It's great that like to be speaking on it. It's like the same with your music. I say this every podcast with whatever guest that I have on. That it's just so important with a platform to be speaking about it. It's a wasted platform otherwise. And even though this podcast isn't strictly political, there's always politics in it, just the same way that there's always something discussing music or Muppets in every episode as well. But and I think it's just as important, to kind of have that. But
also because the thing like with music, like you can be really angry, you can be kind of fun, like it's I don't know, like I find with comedy at the moment, the world's so fucking stupid that to make jokes about it is becoming harder.
I had that where like I used to think about humor more while making rap, and like I didn't have any problem with it. But then as things got like more and more shit over the last like 2 years, it came to a point where it's like, how can I really be humorous about this? And just a general aversion to being too serious about anything. How do I balance that with something that is quite serious? And like as far as like around when around when Black Lives Matter started taking off, and race finally became something that was in the larger dialogue again in America. It was a pretty crazy time, and I started kind of feeling like, man, as far as my work goes, like I shouldn't be making light or even laughing to keep from crying while talking about what essentially is people dying every day and stuff like that. So it became kind of hard to be humorous, but then
you don't make light of it, like
I don't even think of it as being humorous. It's mostly other people that talk about it as being humorous, and then I kind of am like, well, I wasn't really being funny. That's just
it's real life.
But there's always like it's where you're aiming it at, because like you can be commenting on the subject without aiming it at the victims. Do you know what I mean? Like there's that.
Well, I mean, also just like if politics is in your life and your work is often your life, like you are your work and stuff, then you put politics in your work, and it's not like a mission statement or a natural thing. Sometimes it's not even using the platform you have to for a cause, but it's just a natural, organic type of thing based on the person you are, right? And I think that happens.
Yeah, definitely. There's been I don't know if it would have been, when did you get here? You came here on Monday, didn't you? Flew over.
Yeah, Monday.
Yeah, so last week we had a big thing here with Lily Allen did this big she went to the refugee camp in Calais and spoke out and did this thing, and all the papers just trashed her being compassionate, lovey, and all, how dare she?
How dare she be compassionate?
How dare she actually care about things and want to help people? That's disgusting. And like there was a lovely interview with her where I think the reviewer was just going, would you put them in your house though? Would you like, you're all talk, but would you put them in your £1 million home? And she was like, yeah, but I can't legally yet because of the government. I'd happily take them in. And then the report was like, oh, I didn't expect you to actually say that. But like I was watching that thinking it's so important that artists speak out. Like if people that have got a voice, that have got an audience to say stuff, aren't allowed to say it or are trash for saying it, then no one's got a voice. Like where are you gonna? There was did you? I can't remember, Corey. Were you there when we saw Harry Belafonte at the South Bank?
Yeah. That was amazing.
Yeah, it was amazing. We took our mum for her birthday, and he did a Q&A. And it was like one of those inspirational days. And one of the lovely things, I remember somebody asking him about the arts being cut here, all the funding. And he just said, arts is the gateway to truth. Yeah. That's what he said. It said it's how other people interpret the world is through arts. And that's why you've got to let art be unfiltered. And I think that's totally true. But I think, sadly, it is hugely filtered all the time on television stuff. But I think music and podcasts and comedy and that is still you can still get away with
taking the platform back, like reclaiming the narrative or telling the stories you want to tell instead of like TV often where you have to tell the stories that appeal to a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And that's like it's harder to, everyone could just make music in their bedroom and then it's an album. And I find like music is a cool medium to use for that specifically. You get a lot more leeway and you get to really pound it in if you want. Well,
because I guess your audience is coming to you. You're not having to cater for an audience. Your audience comes to you because of what you make. You know?
No, that's why I do think podcasts are cool, because it's been a lot of like really interesting people just getting a platform to talk about the things they want. And that's cool.
And what? So do you find that, like, say with your last album, Eat, Pray, Fug, that came out beginning of last year, and you had a lot of very very political records on there as well, and that are dope. And when I DJ'd for you last year, it was really nice to see so many people that knew all the lyrics and like, not related to them as such, but like felt them. Do you find that it's that those songs had politicized people, or that they were already on that wavelength?
Man, all right, bringing the heat today.
That's right.
All right. No, I mean, I kind of just tell my story and can't ever believe anyone listens. And then when you find that people do listen, I guess the idea of being like an outsider in a sense is something that is like relatable to a lot more people than, like, I've had waves of different types of, I'd say like these days, a lot more South Asians in the crowd than like before in rapping, and that's really cool to see. But it's always a different crowd of people, and it's cool that, I guess, it's often said, that like even when you get really specific in art, that's the best, and when it's like relatable across types of people, that's like really a good validating feeling.
But I mean, like, flag shopping, man, it's just What a tune.
Yeah, and again, music is great because you get to reclaim that narrative and tell parts of the story, you know, as far as like post 9/11. And in literature, there was more like post 9/11 stuff going on than music, really.
Yeah.
And it has, and you know, so I think it was kind of, in some ways, trying to make like a post 9/11 album of you know, different things. It was about mental health. It was about 9/11, and it was about trying to like make sense of the world.
The new record, I mean, like T5, which is just super dope.
Yeah.
Just all about being like fucked up at the airport, pretty much by fucking airport
There's like
security.
3 songs about like airport security. It's 2 brown dudes making an album, and both of us fly a lot, and it's like really just a given. It's like that's what Shoes Off, that song is about. It's like I'm prone to like taking my shoes off at home and like at the religious temple, but the only other place is the airport, which is not like for me a place of like peace and like, you know, solitude and like reflection. It's just like you are put in a box. You are told who you are, but typically when my shoes are off, it means like I know who I am and I'm comfortable, or I'm at the temple.
Have you thought about like turning up to checkouts in like pajamas, take your shoes off, you're like, you know, stretch, have a cup of cocoa, just be like,
I'm pretty comfortable. I take them out even before I come in, just right on the sidewalk. Yeah, I'm just ready to go.
I always worry about when it's right time to take my belt off, because if you take it off too early, you're a bit creepy.
Yeah.
But if you take it off too late, then you get in trouble.
Yeah.
So it's tricky.
I had that in the airport the other day. It was like I stood there next to like a family, and then I was like, I've got to take my belt off. This is creepy.
No, the rule I think is within 5 feet of the belt. Of the belt, as in the luggage, the chain.
Right, within 5 feet.
Yeah, I would say.
It's the last thing to come off. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think
After your
I think
pants
around
and,
5 feet.
Your underwire pants.
After you take off everything else, take off your protective human skin.
As a brown man, I just show up naked and just ready to get the anal cavity searched, which is odd for other people. They don't know, but I'm just trying to get on the flight as quickly as I can. So just make
it must get so annoying though. Like, are you just sick of it, or have you just now? Because you sound like you've got quite like, I just have to deal with this to get through it easy.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I've had to talk about it a lot because of this album.
Sure.
Definitely have, but it is like, it is what it is at a point. I mean, it's also the people who are doing it are also off, like the TSA agents are often like people of color, and Riz talks about here, like, you know, they're people from Hounslow, and they all like, they know his work because he's British and this prominent figure who's Asian, and so it's like the guy searching you down being like, hey, I saw you in that film the other day, it was really good.
Yeah.
Or both Riz and I, like, we have music that's on flights, like you could, or you could watch the night of on a flight, and you could listen to Eat Pray Thug on a Delta flight, and it's like we have to go through this pain in the ass of like, you know, quite a discriminatory experience, and then you get on the plane and you're like, yo, I got on the plane, I'm here, I'm here, like
I'm on the plane.
Like, so I saw Riz tweet a picture of like he searched while there was a magazine with his face on it next to
he had the whole front cover.
Yeah,
crazy.
So it's kind of a crazy experience. Yeah,
that's ridiculous, man. Because he literally was, he was on the front cover of that magazine for something or another, and on the, was it a Virgin flight or something like that? And he's still got searched.
That's the search. I've been on that's the search where they get you into the gate and everyone's basically seated and there's a table with one person. You take all your stuff out and they search it. There's a bunch of different types of search. I could tell. I mean, also I could
What's
tell
your
you.
favorite?
Definitely the butt touching one. That's
right,
the best.
sure.
Yeah, the pat down. I always opt for the pat down. You don't have to go through that machine that like gives you radio waves and shit.
That's weird.
But then they have to touch you up. So
machine they can see if you fart, like, because it's heat and it. Yeah.
Really?
That's what I've heard. Yeah.
Oh my god, I got to try that.
Really?
Yeah.
All right, now challenge. Yeah, I'll do this.
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, I'm gonna do
Challenge
this.
accepted. It's gonna save him up.
Gotta make like you have to do things to get your mind off of the discrimination. So now I'm gonna fart in the radio wave chamber. Thank you.
And also, you kind of Dutch oven it at the same time because it's quite a small enclosed area. So the next person that comes in,
man.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
Or even better, do a fart and then go, "Hey, sorry, I think there's a malfunction in here. You're gonna have to come and check the machine."
Into it, yeah. Although they might have seen it if they can see it.
All right,
So
good point.
they might not. Yeah.
But who watch? Because that scan goes off somewhere. Who's looking at that?
Oh, they see it right there. You have to, like, you go through the scan, you wait, you walk, like, within 3 feet. Somebody stops you, then they look at the machine. Based on what comes up from the scan, they pat you up. You end up getting patted up again so often, so it doesn't even make sense.
Exactly.
And then they let you go further once they get the scan in and look at it. And so they see it right there. But there's definitely some dude somewhere and, like, jerking off to it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I'd say obviously I don't have it happen to me very often, but because I've got a diabetic pump, because I'm diabetic, and that makes me avoid a lot of scans because I just go, well, I can't take this off, and then they have to pat me down instead. So get yourself like some sort of illness or injury that.
All right, I'm working on it.
I'm
constantly working on it, trust me.
A metal leg. So that'll be a perfect time for the annual Thanks for Trying podcast tradition of a piss break, and then we'll be right back for a twist on the shot. Welcome back to the Thanks for Trying podcast post piss break. And one thing I haven't actually mentioned yet is that this is it's a bit of a different scenario for the Thanks for Trying podcast, because for the first time ever, there's two things that are different. One, it's not at night time. It's the middle of the day. It's beautiful and sunny outside in Stoke Newington. And two, we're not drinking alcohol. So the shot break today is something very different. So I'm on a bit of a health kick at the moment, you know, for fucking going to the gym, you know, doing all that stuff. Yeah, impressed I am. And then, so today what I've done is I've made a special shot of ginger, turmeric, lemon, and a few other bits and bobs in there that I'll let you guys decide once we cheers.
All right.
Santé.
Cheers.
All that stuff.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
I've got quite the kick.
Oh, yeah, that's spicy. That's cool.
Oh, yeah.
Woo! You see, I like that in being healthy and avoiding alcohol. Me, your diabetic brother that you've known as diabetic since you were born, you've put sugary apple juice in there.
Oh, yeah, too right.
Yeah, so you fucked me up in some other way. That's a really loving thing that you did there.
Probably more fucked up than a shot of
sneaky.
tequila.
Absolutely, yeah, because tequila would raise and lower my sugars, whereas this is just going to raise my sugars. That's why I've done the
Sorry.
insulin for it.
You're an
Thanks,
asshole.
bro.
Yeah.
There's cayenne in there. There's turmeric. There's a little bit of cider vinegar in there as well.
I mean, I'm definitely awake.
You know what? I've found that doing these shots like once a day wakes me up more than coffee does.
You got to put me on the program. So how do you make these? I started getting a little into smoothies at home, but this seems...
No, it's great. It's so good. It's literally all it is. I usually do fresh apples, but today it's a bit of apple juice. So it's apples, a whole lemon, turmeric, fuckloads of ginger, cayenne pepper and vinegar.
How much turmeric are we talking about here?
I mean, I put in quite a bit. You can see it's quite yellow in its coloration.
The first thing is,
Yeah, but it's good. It's so good, man. It always
like a
it
tablespoon, like a teaspoon.
I just fucking dash it in, man.
Oh yeah,
I do it the rap way.
Yeah, that's tough.
Throw it all in. Yeah,
It's become like the turmeric latte or whatever. I was like, what the fuck is that? And then it's really good. That's been like the new hipster.
I know, and they stole that from an Indian thing, right?
Are white people stealing turmeric from us again?
Yeah.
This didn't work out well for us the last time.
Well, because they called it golden. No, what is it? Golden milk or something.
It's called colonialism.
Steal the culture.
Yeah, that's what they do. They start with the spice, and then just it's a slippery slope of spice from there, from spice.
And now you got fucking pumpkin spice lattes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The nectar of the white girl.
So tell me about this turmeric craze that all the kids are getting busy with.
Well, I don't. I mean,
on the streets.
It's the new thing I've noticed in wanky like coffee shops around here. That seems to be like I think it's like just a turmeric latte or whatever, which is just. I think milk and shitloads of turmeric, but it tasted. I had one because despite being begrudging and angry about the fucking wanky thing, I'll still try one. I still got to know if it's alright.
I just tried one. I got forced into it, and it was alright.
Right, yeah.
It's alright.
That's the problem is I like to rally against these shitty fashion trends and things, but then I'll always try one and go, it's actually quite good though.
Yeah,
fair play everyone.
It's like stereotypes. Like there's a reason they're stereotypes. There's a reason it's a trend, right?
Yeah,
True.
That's it.
Kale died, man. Kale's back to where it was before.
But yeah, because like eating lots of it's actually
So now
quite
I
bad
like
for you,
kale.
raw.
Huh?
Now I like kale.
Now I'm into kale.
Now I'm so into kale.
Yeah, so yeah, I was always into kale, even when our dad used to make kale and I hated it. I was still into it, you know. I was back in the day kale, you know.
Yeah, old school kale. Yeah, original kale.
OG kale crew, man.
OG kale, yeah.
And then it became popular, and I was like, well,
mainstream, yeah. But there'll be an underground kale scene going on right now.
I hope
Yeah.
so, man.
There's gonna be some people like
I'm leading the charge.
Yeah?
I'm doing it.
I had to get into chard when people were into kale. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, like for example, I make a mean kale sag paneer. You know?
Oh shit!
Yeah, I'm trying to ethnic up kale now that the white people have left. That's when we'll ethnic it up.
So is that if you got rid of the spinach, or is there still like is it kale and spinach?
It's just kale.
Shit.
It's a kale sag.
Man.
Yeah.
Poor
This
spinach.
is just one of my little things, you know.
Because you make a lamb as well that I'm really excited because I'm
trying to make.
Oh right, okay. You like a lamb dish. You don't just make a lamb.
I give birth to lambs.
Yeah, right, sure, yeah.
all the time.
Of course. And I still really need to try that.
Yeah, I'm trying on Friday to cook a little.
Yeah, we got a recording session on Friday. That whenever you're hearing this, it would have happened already. So you'll know whether or not it was successful or not.
This is one of the spaces I feel comfortable rapping in, sleeping in, hanging out, waking up and stumbling into microphones.
It's true. Last year, I told you the other day that I was going to mention this. Last year when we were recording, we did 5 songs in one day, and you don't write stuff down.
The last
rap.
year, I don't really write.
You know,
Last year and a half.
It's insane. You just kind of go up to the mic and then you just rap, and it's like I don't know where it's coming from, but it's all coherent and it's sick.
I drink a lot of white wine when I'm in London for some reason.
There's a lot of white wine, and it happened. We did 5 songs, and none of it was written down, and it was sick, except for one point when you had a bit of paper and you'd written something on it, and I was like, Heems, man, like what have you written on this paper? Have you written down lyrics? You say you never write down lyrics, man. I'm calling you out. And he was quite drunk at the time. And he showed me the paper, and it was just a bunch of diagrams, and he was rapping from the diagrams.
But that's what Young Thug.
Wow.
I read an article that Young Thug does that, and I was like, let's see if this really works. And so I wanted to do that. Yeah.
That's not how does it? What sort of diagrams are they? Like Venn diagram. You got 2 subjects.
No, they'll
and
often
then
be like
bits.
words. There'll be words. There's some words in the diagram, right?
Yeah.
There'll be like a bunch of words that I like the sound of, or that the beat might evoke these words within me, or something like this, and or certain feelings I'm trying to like.
There's
convey.
a lot of triangles.
And then I just draw arrows from the words to each other in like how I flow them out, like line to line. And then I just fill the other words through the arrows, kind of.
That sounds amazing.
That's
And but is it also?
It's a banger.
Is it? The
I
sort of
didn't
thing
remember that I did that though. That's cool.
Only you can. Did you ever look back at them and go like, "What the fuck was that?"
I didn't realize I had done that until just like yesterday.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was probably a shit verse though. I bet. Like,
No, it was sick.
I don't know.
It was, I've got it somewhere. I've got the diagram sheet somewhere. I'll frame it one day.
It'll be one of those that if you play it backwards, it'll find like the lost tomb of some emperor or some shit.
Yeah, I wonder. I'm like afraid to look at it, but let's see.
One thing I wanted to talk to you about as well, that is Salman Rushdie.
Classic podcast topic.
Classic, because you're friends with him.
I know him. I hang out with him occasionally, or I have.
Tell me the story then. Because I know Tiernan will have questions.
I've definitely already got questions.
I was doing an event with the Asian American Writers Workshop, and it was like kind of honoring him. And so Zadie Smith and Jonathan Safran Foer and someone else had read his work out loud. And then afterwards there was like a dinner with a bunch of people, and I played like 70s like Bollywood like songs and hung out. But we had also initially just reached out. I kind of tweeted at him essentially, and he responded, and we had this exchange. And I think his son maybe was a fan that put him on. And so after that, I went and had a drink with him, and have kind of I've just like emailed him and stuff, and I had dinner with him recently with Riz and a bunch of people, just like on one of the debate nights, like just a bunch of brown people drinking and eating before the debate, because it's sad times in America. And yeah, he's been really cool and helpful, and like, you know, open to like, as somebody who wants to eventually write a novel, like he, you know, I feel like he's been super kind in a sense, and been like, you know, feel free to like hit me up and let me know what you're working on. And
that's amazing.
Yeah.
God, that is amazing.
Yeah.
And what's he like? Is he?
Man,
he sounds very nice, but is he? I just sort of imagine that he constantly spews kind of quite interesting philosophies at you.
I mean, the first time we hung out in New York, like, he was super charming and just like, you know, very smart, clearly, but just, yeah, super charming, super good at talking and hanging out. And I've been really spoken. Unfortunately, the last time I was in London, I seem to have not. I kind of like stood him up for lunch once, and
stood up Salman Rushdie.
Yeah, and then,
amazing.
Yeah, and then, but now
you're still asleep here, like hungover.
Probably, unfortunately, and so, but I hope I patch things up. I think it seems all right now.
Well, yeah, I don't think that's the worst bridge that's ever been.
Well, actually, you know, there's so
I think
one or two
forgive
of
that one. Yeah, I think that one will be right.
There's so few like South Asian like writers, artists, or media people that you kind of you know, when you get somebody like that to allow you this, you know, like relationship of picking their brains, it's super cool. Like Vijay Iyer is somebody I often consider a mentor. He's a jazz piano player in the States, and he teaches at like Harvard, got a MacArthur, and super talented, smart guy. I play with him in kind of an improv band with a guitarist and a drummer and him on piano. And even, you know, I got to meet Sanjeev Bhaskar from Goodness Gracious Me last time I was here. So this project I'm doing with like a British rapper, a lot of it comes from this interest in the Asian scene here, and being able to watch something like Goodness Gracious Me and be like, how come we don't have this in New York? Like who do we? So even sitting in New York, I would look over to London at like Asian Dub Foundation and, you know, films like East is East and My Son the Fanatic and My Beautiful Laundrette, and, you know, writers here like Salman Rushdie and Hanif Qureshi and Goodness Gracious Me, and kind of be jealous and be like, I want to do, you know. And again, that tension for like Asian art essentially moves in waves. It was definitely bigger in the 90s. There was a wave of Talvin Singh and this, you know, Fundamental and these bands and musicians, and so there's less of that now. But it's cool because this project I get to kind of you know, fill that up, that void that I had looking at England, and try to make something like that, you know, crosses those borders of diaspora, and like, so.
Yeah, it's a real shame. It's sadly we've got a lot less of it now here than we used to, as you said. There's some really good Asian stand-ups, South Asian stand-ups, but I mean, really, TV is. We had an era of we had like The Real McCoy, which was an Afro-Caribbean kind of sitcom, and Desmond's and things like that, and then you had Goodness Gracious Me, and you had all these different, like, really diverse in the 90s, and then sort of hit the 2000s, and TV went, oh no, we'll just have young white guys again.
Yeah, just Downton Abbey.
Yeah, that's it. We'll have shows where elite white people are the focus. It was really, it's really strange.
Well, like 2.4 families of fucking like white people just like fucking being in a house. And worrying about their shopping.
Race is sensitive in like England. You can't really talk about race. Even some people in America get uptight when you say white people, but as like a person of color, you're always referred to as that Indian guy. And so, but I sense, you know, in England, when you talk about race, it's just like people aren't as comfortable. It's a less common thing in discourse, you know.
Well, but it's that bizarre thing where all the kind of so his commentators would go, you can't talk about race anymore. They're all the people that would then be quite racist. Yeah. You know, it's you know,
it's usually
there was that whole thing of like nobody's saying anything about immigration, but they were saying that 400 times a day about immigration. You know, like it's just nonsense.
Yeah.
It's the same people that are all, at the moment we've got this big thing where a lot of, particularly right wing, are kind of saying, sick of these people, these overly politically correct, trying to find their safe space, trying to, say what they want. And then at the same time, they're saying that they love people who say what they think, like Trump or whatever.
Yeah.
And then get angry when people disagree with them and hide in their safe space. It's just a whole world of hypocrisy.
Yeah, I think it's
and
like
bullshit.
it's all like scapegoating because we're both parts of two falling empires, and like people need people to blame, and so it's happening both here and over there.
It's double speak, and it's the 1984 thing. It's classic. It's like the things that mean two things, and you can have one opinion on something, and that's completely right.
There's specific ways to even. Oppression can be spoken in politically correct terms or tricky kind of language, right? But it's clear a lot of it is just racism, and I wonder how much of it comes from also race being inserted into the conversation because of like Obama's presidency and this idea of like when people need someone to blame Obama, and then how that extends to blaming minorities as a whole, or immigrants as a whole, and it's like things aren't working out for me. Like I said, Britain and the US are not where they used to be or are growing, and there's this anxiety about it, and so it's easier to blame the neighbor you don't know because you've all been othering them for years.
Well, it's also that, especially over here, we've had the thing where we've had a government that's caused austerity and just made hardship so much worse, made so many more people hungry and homeless, but instead of saying we did that, they've gone, it's immigrants, there's too many people, and so everyone's amazingly lost all their memory of the crash that happened only 8 years ago and gone, oh yeah, it's them. The other thing I was going to say is plug in yet another podcast, but been listening to the Malcolm Gladwell's Revisionist History podcast, so I'd highly recommend them if you get a chance. But one of them, he's talking about a big study showed that you'd assume that people that vote for Obama in America would be more progressive, maybe more liberal, more open to the idea of having a black president. But it turns out a lot of people that voted for Obama did that and then said, all right, we've done our one thing that proves we're not racist. Now we can be racist and are hugely racist the rest of the time in their views and opinions. And as though it's almost their get out clause. So what you'd actually need is a succession of presidents who weren't white in order for it to actually make a difference.
Yeah, there is this idea of like post-racism and like, oh well, we have a black president, so clearly we're not racist, and it's like, it's like using the president as your black friend to be like, no, it's cool, I have a black friend. It's cool. No, I voted for the black nominee, so now I can say whatever I want. I get a pass.
When's the election? It's next week, right?
November 8th, man. I'm playing a show that night. It's gonna be weird. I hope like they have TVs. Or I hope they don't. Let's see.
Have you got a song have you got a track that you choose to play depending on each outcome?
The whole album is pretty much a lot of like anti-Islamophobia, so I feel like it lends itself to one specific.
To both candidates, well, in a way, but definitely Trump. Yeah.
So how are we feeling? Which is it going to be Trump?
No, I don't know. I haven't looked at the numbers since I've been here, but it doesn't look like it's going to be. And there might even be former red states that turn blue. Wow. So.
And none of it matters anyway because she's going to be the same.
It's they're all the same essentially, but there's one that's clearly worse than the other, I think, and that's what kind of I don't specifically have anything against Hillary Clinton. I definitely supported Bernie Sanders more. Yeah, but, of course. But this whole thing has been surreal. When I came here in November, before I went to India, a lot of it was kind of like running away from America and this racism and Trump. And so I left in November, stayed here a month, and went to Goa for like 3 or 4 months. Came back to the States after about 5.5 months, and was hoping by then this stuff will be over. And it was like, oh no, like full steam ahead. And so it's been pretty intense. And I can't wait until it's done, so I just don't have to constantly see this nonsense being like repeated in media. And all I do is just watch the news at this point. Because it is interesting, but it's.
Do you think? Cause one of the things I think I sort of am concerned about is like, because I think you're right. I think it looks like Hillary's going to win now, and people listening to this podcast say in 4 weeks' time,
exactly. You idiots,
and now they're dead. But like, But with the whole Donald Trump saying, I'll only accept the outcome of this election if I win and all that. And, is there a fear that he loses, all the people that voted for him are going to fucking riot and... I worry that's going to kick off.
It won't be seen as riots, though.
Oh, no, of course, because they're white,
No.
Polite protests with guns.
Exactly.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's setting it up in that way. He's been kind of the last 2 weeks talking about, like, as if he's already lost and getting people ready to kind of incite, riots. And it's pretty scary. It was interesting for me that, he said and has been accused of all these, of assault, essentially. And that didn't, rattle as many Republicans. But when he potentially insulted the notion of democracy in America and the election system and not accepting necessarily peaceful transition, that is when a lot of people were like, oh my God, he's insulted democracy. But it was like, he's been insulting women, minorities, all this for ages. And that didn't really make you question this dude. I was just like, man, that's crazy. That I can't understand that.
But I genuinely think that there's nothing he could say that would make a difference to his supporters anyway. And in the same way that
he said this. He said I could shoot somebody in the back of their head on Fifth Avenue and my poll numbers wouldn't go down.
It's true. It's so true. It's the same with Theresa May. There's nothing. What happened. You'll know more about this than me, Tiernan, but. Her this week coming out with that leaked thing about her saying she didn't believe in Brexit anyway. All of this, all of this stuff. No matter what happens, it doesn't matter. You could, you can. She could say anything, and people still would be Tories, and would still be like, well, it's probably Corbyn's fault.
Yeah, but it's also all the kind of disillusionment. I think it's very much in the States. You've got a whole class of people that have felt they've been ignored for years and years and years and years. And you have over here, you've now got a lot of people that think that the only way they've got a voice is because of Brexit. Even if Brexit isn't going to help them in any way, it's going to make their lives much, much worch. They all kind of go, well, somebody listened to us. We got what we wanted. So now it has to happen. Otherwise it's just... And I agree with that. Even as someone that wanted to remain, I think if you don't follow through with the vote, then you are taking the piss out of our crappy democracy anyway. That you just have to make it as best as you can. But you've got all these people saying they just want it... They're so angry that nothing's happened for them in years.
Right.
That this is the closest thing they get to having a say. And I guess I think with Trump there are also, similar I suppose with Brexit, there's a number of people that were racist and wanted for other reasons. But I think there is also that especially working class people are going hang on a fucking second, we just want someone that isn't the same establishment shit that's going to side with businesses, even though Trump is a fucking business. And exactly. that is there's that whole ridiculous
it's just this confusion and people have no idea. They're just like, well, it's headless chickens kind of thing. They don't know what they're voting for, and they don't know how to make change, and they just want to blame people and have no idea how to kind of make anything better. And yet the one person, say with Corbyn, who actually can make a change and wants to, is a viable difference to it, they'll find any excuse to say it's wrong.
Yeah. There's I'll be really boring for a second. I went to see a panel back in May with George Monbiot on, who I'm treating as a bit of a hero at the moment. I don't know if you've heard of him. He writes for The Guardian. He's a big environmentalist, and he's written lots of books. He wrote a whole book about rewilding, which is something I think is amazing, where they reintroduce a species back into an area where it's been made extinct, and that kind of fixes the ecosystem. And there's big things like in Yellowstone Park, all the wolves were hunting guild. They put wolves back in. It caused so many changes. It caused the river to change shape because the deer stopped grazing by the river because they could be killed, and that meant that fish came back to the river and insects came back to feed. In 10-15 years all these animals return. Anyway, George Monbiot's talking about we're in this age of he calls it the age of loneliness, but it's neoliberalism. Neoliberalism is the idea that everything should be competitive, everything's a competition, everything has a right to be competitive, and if you say it shouldn't be, then you're attacking freedom and democracy. That's what we're living in, and we have been since Thatcher, Reagan and everything, and that's why they want to privatise over here, privatise health service. I know it's already in the States, but and I think that's the thing. Neoliberalism doesn't work. We've had big crashes, but for it to change would require a lot of people with lots of money to lose money, and therefore they don't want it to change.
No, it'll never happen.
So we're just stuck in this shit until someone. But also, there's no good new ideas. The only ideas people have now are old ideas. So we've got we could do, communism or socialism or whatever. But they're all ideas that that we need a new idea that takes the best of things, and no one's got it. I haven't got it. I haven't got a great idea. Eggs anytime, probably.
Eggs anytime.
Eggs anytime.
I think that would be.
Yeah.
You guys need me. I'll start running your country.
Please do. I'd be bang up for that.
Yeah.
I'll help you with the campaign.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah,
I'd be happy with that. Eggs anytime.
No, you will. Sadiq Khan was kind of cool, but then it was like that was also it was tense because. Well, people ask us with this record whether there's a line about Brexit with Riz is talking about Trump wants his exit, but if he watches like Netflix, bruv, I'm on, and so he's on it, and so people ask us if we didn't think it was going to happen as well. I was here, and so it was more the album was kind of celebrating the Sadiq Khan moment than like the immediately what followed, and I wonder also how much that even I guess London didn't really vote for leaving. So, but it does move in these waves. It's like you elect a person of color to a prominent position, and then once that's done, you can immediately start it's so.
It's all planned.
Just in terms of like drawing parallels,
Yeah, it's all a chess game. It's all pre-planned, and all of it. Like even fucking
Illuminati, yo.
Hashtag Illuminati.
Yeah,
but it is true. It's painfully true. Like it's whether it's the fact that Hillary and Trump were mates.
It's that way in the States you get like dynasties. You've had all the Bushes, now you get all the Clintons.
Now the Clintons.
I just think that's crazy. It's like a sort of monarchy, but for
I mean
presidents.
You have that in a lot of in India as well. You have like the Gandhis and. Yeah, these kinds of the Bhuttos in Pakistan.
So Tiernan, that's a good time before we wrap up. So you've got a gig coming up that will be a week after this podcast comes out. So, and it's for an excellent cause that is all related to kind of what we're talking about anyway. So feel free, plug away.
Yeah, it's for the charity are called Help Refugees. They're the big one. That's essentially it's 3 women that set this up a couple of years ago. During the crisis to help. Their whole thing is that they don't want particularly publicity. They don't want to they just want to get the money to people who need it. They're fantastic. They're a really, really good charity. And I did a gig for set up a charity gig for them back in July, and so we're running this massive Help Refugees gig. It's called very unoriginally Stand Up for Refugees at Conway Hall on November the 8th, and the lineup at the moment is Frankie Boyle, Sarah Pascoe, Doc Brown, previous guest, Tez Ilias, Kerry Godliman, Jen Brister, and me. Oh, and Richard Herring as well, who's just joined. And so that's on at Conway Hall in Holborn. We've sold almost there's some tickets left, but not many. Yeah. So check that out. And we've also a bit of a secret one, and we're doing one in Manchester, March 24th, that has Sarah Millican and Jason Manford on.
Wow.
So it's going to be massive. So we're trying to run a few, hopefully get one in Glasgow that Frankie's sorting out for us. And just get a ton of money to them, because they're all in Calais at the moment, trying to help all the people that have been kicked out of the camp. Yeah. So just thought may as well make people laugh while getting some money.
Definitely,
some good places.
That's a great cause. Make sure you go buy the remaining tickets to that when this comes out, and if it is sold out, travel to Manchester in March and go see that one. And also while I'm here as well, I've got and speaking of Doc Brown, December the 18th is going to be episode 10 of the Thanks for Trying podcast, and it is happening live at the Phoenix in central London. So make sure you go get tickets for that, and it is with the returning guests from episode 1, Doc Brown and Ed Skrine. So come down for that. It will be fucking amazing. So thank you very much to my guests today, Heems and my brother Tiernan Douieb. You have been listening to episode 8 of the Thanks for Trying podcast. Big shout out to Heems and Tiernan for coming through, and big thank you to Seb White again for recording the show. Episode 9 will be up online very soon at some point in November, and of course episode 10 in December will be live, so make sure you go and buy your tickets now. If you have any suggestions on who you'd like to see as a special guest on the Thanks for Trying podcast, feel free to tweet me, email in, do all that good stuff.